Do you hear me? Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Do you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, I will start sharing now. Please don't make any noise. Otherwise, I'm going to mute all, okay?
Okay.
We are going to start general protein metabolism. Of course, I have asked you to attend the lecture of amino acid metabolism with me in the whole B with the Egyptian students, because I'm not going to repeat again in the Zoom, okay? Do you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, okay. This is the introduction about the protein. The biological value of the protein depends on if the protein is able to satisfy the requirement of the body for the daily requirement of proteins and to maintain the nitrogen balance. What is a nitrogen balance? We are going to define it. Nitrogen balance refers to that the amount of intake of the protein in the diet equal the amount of the protein that go outside our body, or the nitrogen intake in our diet equal the nitrogen output which go from outside our body, okay? To be of high biological value, the protein must be digested, must be easily digested and absorbed, and must contain all the essential amino acids. We are going to define what is essential amino acid. So the protein should be digested and absorbed and contains all the essential amino acids. Essential amino acids cannot be sensitized in our body. They must be supplied in our diet. The body cannot make them. Proteins are classified into high biological value and low biological value proteins. I'm going to check about the record. Yes, we're going to record. Okay. High biological value proteins are animal proteins. Animal proteins are usually high biological value. They are found in the meat and anything derived from animal origin. Fish, poultry, milk are derived from animal origin, and the product of milk, the dairy products, the eggs, these are the animal proteins. Animal proteins are of high biological value because it contains all the essential amino acid and it is easily digested. Plant proteins are of lower biological value. Why? Because it does not contain all the essential amino acids. There are about 10 essential amino acids. Some plant proteins contain 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, or 8 out of 10 essential amino acids. These resemble proteins of plant origin such as legumes, cereals, nuts, tubers, all are of plant origin. If you take a mixture of the plant protein, you can get all the essential amino acids. Because in one type of a plant, there is deficiency of 1 or 2 essential amino acids. In another type of a plant, there is deficiency of different amino acids. So if you mix different plant proteins, you can get all the 10 essential amino acids. What are the essential? Essential means cannot be sensitized, cannot be formed in our body or in the animal body. They must be supplied in the diet. Their deficiency affect the rate of the growth, affect protein synthesis in our body, and we are going to explain what is negative nitrogen balance. You must study and memorize all the essential amino acids, which are valine, leucine, isoleucine. Valine, leucine, isoleucine are branched amino acids. Threonine, hydroxy amino acid. Methionine, sulfur amino acid. Lysine, basic amino acid. Phenylalanine, tryptophan, histidine, all are aromatic and heterocyclic amino acids. You have to memorize all of them. You have to study and to be able to remember the name of all essential amino acids. They come in the exam, so they are very important. What is a half essential or semi-essential? Semi-essential, they are formed inside in our body. They are sensitized, but the amount which is sensitized is enough for adults, but not enough for the growing children. The rate means the speed of synthesis, the amount of sensitized amino acids, or the concentration of the amino acids which are formed in our body is small. So it is sufficient for adults, but not sufficient for growing children or growing animals. Arginine is the only semi-essential. You have to study the name arginine, and to be able to remember the name arginine in the exam, arginine is the only semi-essential amino acid. Non-essential, the remainder. And you have studied protein chemistry, and you have known that we have 20 amino acids, so you have to memorize all of them to remember which of them are essential, which of them are semi-essential, which of them are non-essential. Is this clear? Do you hear me? Please answer. Do you hear me? I don't hear
Yes.
any person. Please answer to make sure that you hear me. Is everything clear? Or
We are hearing you, Doctor.
or there is interruption of the internet? I'm afraid that there will be interruption of the net. The recommended daily allowance. What is the recommended daily allowance? The concentration of the protein that you should take in the diet every day. The concentration or the amount of the protein which you should take in your diet every day is about 0.8 gram per kilogram body weight. So if your body weight is about 70 kilogram, so you should take about 5.6 gram protein every day and not more, because proteins are dangerous. Excess proteins are dangerous to the body. So you must not take excess animal protein in the diet. You must take only what you need, what your body needs daily. This is called RDA. R, recommended. D, daily. Allowance A. It is abbreviated capital R, capital D, capital A. RDA, the recommended daily allowance. Of course, what you need in your body increases in the growing children, during lactation because there is synthesis of milk, during pregnancy because there is a fetus which is growing, and recovery from any disease with catabolic disease such as cancer during recovery because there is a building of a body proteins. What is the caloric value of protein? Oxidation of 1 gram of protein yields 4 kilocalories per each gram protein, which equal to that of carbohydrates. But of course, fat makes the double amount of calorie, about 9 kilocalories per gram fat. So oxidation of 1 gram of carbohydrates or 1 gram of proteins yields 4 kilocalories per each gram. But oxidation of 1 gram of fat or lipid yields 9 kilocalories per gram. Oxidation of proteins is toxic to the body and carcinogenic. So proteins are not usually oxidized in our body. We get energy from oxidation of carbohydrates and fat or lipids, but we do not get energy from oxidation of proteins. Proteins had another uses inside our body, had another function. No under normal condition, the body does not oxidize protein. Oxidation of protein occurs during the starvation, prolonged starvation, and this is dangerous. What is the meaning of turnover? Turnover means a breakdown of a tissue protein and building of a new proteins. There is a continuous degradation, means a breakdown and synthesis of tissue proteins and cellular protein. Each day, about 1 to 2% of our body proteins are degraded and broken each day, and about 1 to 2% of our tissue protein are resensitized and building of a new proteins in our body. So the process is a continuous dynamic manner. During breaking of our tissue protein, 75% of the amino acids which are released during proteolysis or breaking of the tissue proteins are utilized for synthesis of important derivatives. For those who attend amino acid metabolism with me in the lecture, know the derivatives of the amino acids. Amino acids are used to build important molecules such as neurotransmitters, hormones, cytokines. So amino acids are utilized, and the remainder are excreted from our body. They are not stored. There is no storage of amino acids. There is no storage of excess proteins in our diet. If everything clear up till now, please answer me to be sure that you hear and no problem in the internet. Is everything clear? You hear me? Please answer. Do you hear me? Those who raise hands. Yes, I can. Okay, okay. Today, everyone is silent. I don't hear any sound. Okay, nitrogen metabolism. Anyone want to ask any question? Any one of you want to ask any question? Please answer. Please respond. Please make response to me. Do you want to ask any question? You are muted. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Anyone want to ask
We were
any
unmuted, so
question? I forget that I mute all of you. Okay. Okay. Anything?
Yeah.
Anyone want to ask any question up till until now?
Now it is clear.
Everything clear. Okay. I will not mute you unless there is a noise. Please don't make any noise, so I don't need to mute all of you. Okay. Nitrogen metabolism. Nitrogen are mainly got in our diet from protein. Our diet gets nitrogen from protein. 16% of the weight of the protein contain nitrogen because the amino groups contain nitrogen. Usually we take about 90 gram proteins each day. So the normal adult takes about 14.5 gram nitrogen each day. If I hear a noise, I should mute all of you because there are some noises. Okay? We get nitrogen in our diet from protein. 16% of the weight of the protein is nitrogen. We get about 14.5 gram nitrogen daily. We get also a very small amount of nitrogenous compounds such as nucleic acids, phospholipids, and GAGs. Nucleic acids, phospholipids, and GAGs, glycosaminoglycans, contains nitrogen. Usually our body are in a nitrogen balance. What is a balance? The nitrogen intake in our diet equal the nitrogen output which go outside our body. This reflects a balance between protein anabolism and protein catabolism. Anabolism means the building of our body protein. Catabolism means breakdown of either our body protein or breakdown of the protein which we take in our diet. Usually there is a balance between the protein which we take in our diet and the proteins which are excreted and go outside our body. And this is expressed as nitrogen, because a unique feature of the protein is the presence of nitrogen atom in the amino group. So the nitrogen intake equals the nitrogen output in a normal adult person. What is a nitrogen, positive nitrogen balance? Positive means the intake of the nitrogen in our diet is more than the nitrogen which go outside our body, exceeds the output. This occurs during building of your tissue protein, such as growing a child, during pregnancy, during muscular exercise, there is building of the muscle mass. Those who practice exercise, they build the muscle mass, so there is building of a tissue protein. So the amount of intake is more than the amount of output. The amount of intake of proteins exceed and more than the protein which go outside the body. Convalescence means recovery. Recovery from a catabolic disease. What is a catabolic disease? Such as malignancy, cancer. There is catabolism. When there is recovery, the body builds its own protein, so there is positive nitrogen balance. What is negative nitrogen balance? When the output exceeds the intake. When the output of the nitrogen from our body to go outside our body is more than the nitrogen which we take. There is a noise. I'm going to mute all of you. There is a noise. Please go away from the mic, from the microphone. When there is a negative nitrogen balance, means that the body loses protein and loses nitrogen. When there is inadequate protein intake in our diet, such as during starvation, or if there is malnutrition, or there is deficiency of essential amino acids in the diet, or any intestinal disease in which there is malabsorption. There is no absorption of protein from the intestine. In cases of starvation or malnutrition, I'm going to mute. There is a noise. I'm going to mute all. Inadequate protein in our diet leads to negative nitrogen balance, such as during starvation or malnutrition, or any disease in the intestine which affect the absorption of protein. The second cause is loss of protein from our body, such as during bleeding, hemorrhage. Loss of the blood equal loss of protein, because hemoglobin is a protein, and plasma contains plasma proteins. Albuminuria means loss of albumin in the urine, a renal disease. During lactation, because lactating female loses milk, and milk is a body protein. Okay, lactation on inadequate diet, not every lactating female. Lactating female which without sufficient amount of protein in her diet. Diseases which cause protein catabolism, a breakdown of the tissue protein, such as uncontrolled diabetes mellitus. There is catabolism of the protein. You are going to study Cushing syndrome in physiology. Hyperthyroidism, excess thyroid hormone as a result of disease in the thyroid gland leads to catabolism of our body protein. Infectious diseases and fever lead to catabolism. So if there is excess protein catabolism as a result of catabolic disease, proteins are lost from our body, and the person will have negative nitrogen balance. So you have to know in the exam, what is normal nitrogen balance, what is positive nitrogen balance, and what is negative nitrogen balance, and their causes. And the cause of each state you have to know by yourself. Blood amino acids. What is the normal level of amino acid nitrogen? Not the amino acid itself. The nitrogen in the amino acid is about from 3 to 6 milligram per deciliter in our blood. It rises, it increases by 2 to 3. This means that 3 may be 5 and 6 may be 9 milligram per deciliter. You add 2 or 3 milligram over this range after a high protein meal. Is there any disease which affect absorption of amino acid from our diet? Yes. Usually, proteins are not absorbed directly from the intestine. This is not normal. This is abnormal. Protein should be digested into amino acid, and the amino acid is absorbed from the intestine and go to the bloodstream. What occurs if there is a defect in the intestinal wall? There is a defect or disease in the intestine and protein is absorbed. This is abnormal. If protein is absorbed from the intestine and go to the blood, it will lead to food allergy. This is allergy to food. Protein can be absorbed by endocytosis from the wall of the intestine. But this is abnormal, does not occur normally in human. It occurs in some animal species. If there is a disease and protein is absorbed from the wall of the intestine, protein will go to the bloodstream and it will be subjected to immune reaction. The immune cell will attack the protein and this leads to allergy to certain food proteins, okay? Celiac disease had another name, sprue. I will find the name sprue, sometimes called sprue, celiac disease. You are going to study celiac disease in internal medicine. This is gluten is a protein which is found in wheat, okay? Wheat is one type of cereals. Gluten is a protein which is found in wheat. When gluten enters the wall of the intestine, it creates allergic reaction. The immune response to gluten in the small intestine damages the intestinal wall and impairs the ability of the intestine for absorption, and this leads to malabsorption. Damaging of the intestinal wall as the result of allergic and immune reaction to gluten. Gluten is a protein in wheat, and this is abnormal sensitivity to the gluten. This is not normally. This is a disease. Frequent immune response, antigen-antibody reactions leads to damaging the wall of the intestine and lead to malabsorption, and this leads to diarrhea, fatigue, weight loss. Bloating means excess gases in the intestine, anemia, because the wall of the intestine is damaged. So there will be no absorption. There will be weight loss. There is diarrhea and serious complications, okay? There is no treatment except immunosuppressive drugs, and the only treatment is to restrict wheat from our diet. I don't know why these blue lines appear. I don't know why these blue lines appear. Okay? Type. I will stop here and ask you. Unmute all. Do you hear me clearly? Do you hear me clearly? Is everything clear?
Yep, it's clear, doctor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will not mute until there is a noise. I'm going to mute, okay? State of absorbed amino acid. Usually the amino acid pool is about 100 grams. As I said before, the normal adult takes about 90 grams protein per day. So this will be digested into amino acids and go to the bloodstream and mix with the amino acids which are hydrolyzed from our tissue proteins to make a common pool. What are the fates of the amino acid? Amino acids normally are not oxidized to give energy, as I said. No oxidation of amino acids, no oxidation of proteins, because this is dangerous. The meeting will end without 10 minutes. We are going to go outside the Zoom meeting and to re-enter again by the same link, by the same website link, okay? Amino acid will be utilized for synthesis of important compounds such as milk, synthesis of tissue proteins, synthesis of plasma proteins, some hormones are proteins, synthesis of enzymes. So, amino acid which is taken in our diet and absorbed and go to the bloodstream will be used for synthesis of important derivatives. They may be used also for sense of glutathione. I have explained the glutathione in the lecture. Adrenaline is hormone, thyroxine, melanin, niacin, purines, pyrimidines. Purine, pyrimidine are nitrogenous bases in the DNA and RNA. Amino sugar, we take the amino group from amino acids, the nitrogen of the phospholipids, okay? So, amino acids are used for synthesis of important compounds in our body, such as tissue proteins, hormones, enzymes, neurotransmitter. Niacin is a vitamin. Niacin is a vitamin. Purines, such as adenine, guanine, pyrimidine, such as cytosine, thymine, uracil, amino sugar, nitrogenous bases of phospholipid. Catabolic. What is a catabolic fate of amino acid? We are going to study catabolism of amino acid by diagram. This is much more easier. When we remove the amino group from the amino acid, it will be converted into alpha keto acid. We are going to see it in the diagram. If we remove the amino group from the amino acid, it is converted to alpha keto acid. The carbon skeleton or the alpha keto acid either will give me glucose, so the amino acid is glucogenic. You have to study perfectly and to able to memorize and remember all these amino acids, which gives glucose only. Pure glucogenic means gives the only glucose. These are alanine, glycine, serine, cysteine, aspartate, glutamate. Again, alanine, glycine, serine, cysteine, aspartate, glutamate. All these amino acids, there are 6 amino acids, give glucose only in our body. Ketogenic amino acids which gives ketone body only, such as acetyl-CoA or acetoacetyl-CoA. There are 2 amino acids, leucine and lysine. You have to memorize them. You have to be able to remember which amino acids gives only ketone bodies. The third group give me glucose and ketone, both glucogenic and ketogenic, and these are the aromatic amino acids, phenylalanine, tyrosine, tryptophan, and one of the branches, isoleucine. So you have to memorize which amino acid gives glucose inside the body, glucogenic, which amino acids gives ketone body, they are ketogenic, which amino acid gives glucose and ketone body, they are mixed amino acids. Because this is a famous question in the exam. This is the beginning of the removal of the amino acid nitrogen. During metabolism, do you hear me clearly? Is everything clear?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes, okay. Removal of the amino acid nitrogen. We have to remove the amino group from amino acids. Why? Because the amino group contains nitrogen, and nitrogen is very dangerous if it is oxidized. It will give me nitric oxide, nitrous oxide, nitrogen peroxides, and all oxides of nitrogen are toxic to our body. They are free radicals. They are reactive oxygen species, and they are carcinogenic. They destroy the cells. They destroy the DNA and RNA. They destroy the cell membrane. So the nitrogen should be removed. The first thing of the metabolism of amino acid is to remove the nitrogen. How can we remove the nitrogen? This is an abbreviation, but there is a detail in the next slide. Transamination means transfer of the amino group between alpha amino acid this is an amino acid. We will take the amino group from this amino acid, give it to the keto acid, which is ketoglutaric. So the alpha amino acid will be converted into alpha keto acid. We are going to see it in the diagram. And the amino group is translocated or transferred to the ketoglutaric to give me glutamic acid. So any amino acid will give the amino group to alpha ketoglutaric, and the amino acid itself is converted to alpha keto acid. And the glutaric is converted to glutamic acid or glutamate. This process is called transamination. The next step is oxidative deamination, means oxidation and removal of the amino group. The amino group will go outside as ammonia. Okay? We are going to study an example of transamination. This is the amino acid. I want to look at the formula. This is the amino group. The amino group is present in all amino acids, NH2. The most dangerous thing of the protein is the nitrogen. We have to remove the nitrogen. The amino group is translocated to this keto group. This is a ketone, C double bond O. So the amino group will be translocated to this alpha keto acid, and this alpha keto acid, which is R2, will give me R2 alpha amino acid, another amino acid. And the R1, which is the first amino acid, is converted into R1 alpha keto acid. So there is exchange of the amino group, okay? What is the benefit? The benefit is to remove the amino group from R1, which is the first amino acid, and to convert it into keto acid. This is called transamination reaction, and all transaminases or aminotransferases require PLP, which is pyridoxal phosphate or pyridoxine vitamin B6, okay? All amino acids undergo transamination except 3. You have to know them. Lysine does not undergo transamination. Threonine does not have transamination. Serine does not undergo transamination. And we're going to study how amino group is removed from lysine, how amino group is removed from threonine, how it is removed from serine, okay? So all amino acid undergo transamination. We are going to take 2 transaminases which are very famous. This is alanine amino acid. If you look, this is the amino group. I should remove this amino group and replace it by ketone. If we replace the amino group by ketone, alanine will be converted into pyruvic acid. Where does the amino group go? It will go to alpha ketoglutaric and it is converted into glutamic. As I said, glutamic acid is the major, is the boss or the president amino acid which accept the amino group from all of the remaining amino acids. We have 20 amino acids. All of the 19 amino acids give the amino group to alpha ketoglutaric to form glutamic. This enzyme is called alanine transaminases or aminotransferases. The abbreviation is ALT. Alanine, this is amino acid AL. Transaminase, we get capital T. Trans means transfer or translocation of the amino group. The second is AST. AS means aspartic acid. And we have amino group. We remove the amino group, replace it by ketone, and we get alpha oxaloacetic. Where does the amino group go? The amino group is accepted by alpha ketoglutaric to sensitize glutamic, and this enzyme is called